Howdy my totally tubular gamers, and we are back again for another ranking video. Now today's ranking video is going to be the last ranking video of anime, and we're going to be looking at the One Piece Pirate Warriors series of video games. Now if you don't know One Piece, I'm really questioning why you clicked on this video, but it is one of the longest running anime slash manga series just ever. It's been going on for well over 30 years, and it's still going strong to this day with really no signs of stopping anytime soon. And with a series as big as One Piece, there's obviously been a ton of media released for it over the years, including video games. There are dozens of One Piece video games that have been going on for well over 20 years now, and there's usually a One Piece game every couple years. However, one series of One Piece games that at least interests me that I wanted to play was the One Piece Pirate Warriors games. Now, the Pirate Warriors series is actually a spin-off of the Dynasty Warriors series by Omega Force and Koei Tecmo. With that in mind, the Pirate Warriors games play pretty much the same as any other Warriors game, or at least have that general formula you can expect. There have been 4 Pirate Warriors games released, and they all play pretty similarly, where you just go around these usually decently large areas as your favorite One Piece characters just beating the crap out of tons and tons of enemies, capturing areas, occasionally escorting someone, and defeating some powerful foes. If you've played any Dynasty Warriors game of any kind, whether it was the main series or the spin-offs, you really know what to expect when it comes to these games, as all of them play pretty similar to each other. Obviously there is some One Piece flavor here, but the general gameplay for all these games is that of a brawler. You're just beating the crap out of tons and tons of enemies with your favorite characters, and you go through the anime. There have been 4 One Piece Pirate Warriors games released throughout the years, and I'm sure that there'll be more in the future as the anime gets longer and longer and longer. Now each game obviously has a start and end point. They all start at the same time, but each one goes a little further and further into the anime as it did come out later when there was more material to work with. Now I've played all these games. I recently just finished Pirate Warriors 4 and thought, hey, it'd be fun to rank them. I haven't ranked a Dynasty Warriors type series yet, so I thought why not do the One Piece Pirate Warriors series of games. And before we begin, tell me what your favorite is in the comments. You can obviously like, sub, share, all that great stuff. Anyway, what is the worst of the Pirate Warriors games though? What do I think is the stinker of this sub-series in One Piece? I actually think that the original One Piece Pirate Warriors is the stinker of the whole series. The original One Piece Pirate Warriors came out in 2012 for the PS3. Now it goes without saying, with the exception of Dynasty Warriors 9, the Dynasty Warriors series and its spin-offs have actually gotten better over time. They've really gotten less clunky, the gameplay's become a lot more refined, the game plays up its strengths, it's a lot more fun, and really just focuses in on the points that people like when it comes to the Warrior Styles games. And I think Pirate Warriors 1 is a very good example of this, as I don't actually think it's a very good game for the most part, even by Dynasty Warriors standards. It's very clunky and it has a lot of extra fluff to it, and it's just not very fun. When it comes to retelling the anime slash manga, it is the best when it comes to this introductory level stuff for One Piece, as when I played the game I had no idea about anything with One Piece, and this game does a decent enough job at actually telling the original tale of One Piece and the first couple arcs. However, that's really the best thing I can say about this game, is I think that the rest of the game is quite mediocre for the most part. The game plays more like Dynasty Warriors 6 rather than some of the other Dynasty Warriors that came out in the early 2010s. The combat feels very stiff, all the combos feel quite stilted, and again it just feels quite clunky to play. Even for the time, it just wasn't all that great, and coming back to it all these years later, especially after playing the later games in the series, it's honestly kind of hard to come back to. It really just does not flow as well, and the gameplay just feels kind of sluggish. A lot of the levels drag on as well, and the game does have a decently length story mode. However, a majority of the story mode, if not basically almost all of the story mode, you do play as Luffy exclusively. And it's like, yes, he is the protagonist, of course you're going to play as him the most, but I honestly liked playing as the other characters and getting to know their other gameplay styles, but most of the game you really are just Luffy, and a lot of these levels are actually tailor-made for him and his stretchy arms. However, I absolutely do not think that this is to the game's strengths, and I think it's the opposite actually, as it introduces all these weird gameplay elements that are not in like any other Dynasty Warriors type games that really are the worst part of these games. There's really just awkward as hell platforming, general traversal is just kind of a pain in the ass, and it really just slowed the entire game down to a crawl for the most part. A lot of these maps just take way too long because of this traversal that you have to do with Luffy, and I just really didn't want to do any of it. I just wanted to beat up enemies the whole time, and you can't do it. You have to do this awkward, kind of just shitty traversal. And these shitty QuickTime events. It's interesting to see where the Pirate Warriors series got started, but I can't really recommend this game to even One Piece fans, as the other Pirate Warriors games are just that much better, and even as a Dynasty Warriors fan, I really didn't like this game very much, and I think it's one of the worst in the entire Dynasty Warriors franchise. The next Pirate Warriors game is One Piece Pirate Warriors 2. Now, Pirate Warriors 2 came out actually a year after the original Pirate Warriors. However, it is quite a bit different from Pirate Warriors 1, and it is quite a bit better. Pirate Warriors 2 does not actually follow the anime. It doesn't use a canon storyline at all. It actually has its own original storyline that takes place 2 years after the Straw Hat Pirates entered the New World. And while there are some that I'm sure would rather just have the game follow the anime, it is an interesting take that at least they try to do something different and have its own original story rather than just replicate the anime, which is what they would do for the next 2 games. The gameplay is much more refined, and it plays more like the Warriors style of games that really came out at this time, such as Dynasty Warriors 7. The combat feels a lot more refined, it's much less stiff, and it flows a hell of a lot better. The biggest addition is really the removal of something, and that's the removal of all the platforming, the traversal, the QuickTime events. All of that is just gone. It focuses much more on the Warrior style of gameplay, rather than all that extra junk that wasn't needed. You also don't have to play as Luffy like the entire time. I mean, obviously you do play as him a lot, but you actually get to choose the other characters a lot of the other times. The original game had 13 characters, and all 13 of them return here, but there's also 14 new characters. So yeah, there's tons of different characters to play as in this game, and it just leads to an overall much more enjoyable story mode and just a much more fun time. But yeah, I had a decent enough time with it, definitely better than the first game, and for whatever reason in North America, this game was not actually released physically on PS3, so if you're going to get the game, now's probably a good time. PSN is going to go down at some point, that much is clear, or you're going to have to import it. But yeah, fun time. And now for what I think is the second best One Piece Pirate Warriors game, and that is Pirate Warriors 3. Pirate Warriors 3 was released a few years after Pirate Warriors 2 and goes back to retelling the anime. However, to not totally retread on previous ground, it does actually really condense a lot of the first arc and second arc and really just first part of One Piece in general. By doing this, they were able to focus more on the new stuff that had been added to One Piece since Pirate Warriors came out. The game also features a different ending from the One Piece anime and manga, which is interesting, I'll leave it at that. I will say that the game actually is pretty bad when it comes to its storytelling and just glossing over the One Piece series. Like, if you have not watched One Piece or read the manga or even played the first Pirate Warriors, like, they go over some of this stuff so quickly that I have no idea how someone who doesn't know anything is supposed to figure this out. I mean, obviously the game is for One Piece fans, but as someone who is a Dynasty Warriors fan who came into this with no knowledge of One Piece, I was totally lost. They really just kind of throw everything at you, and they even reuse some of the cutscenes from Pirate Warriors 1, so I was like, okay, I'll just go play Pirate Warriors 1 where they have everything more in depth. Shoddy storytelling aside, I think the gameplay is much better than Pirate Warriors 1 and 2, and this plays much more like what I think are the really good Dynasty Warriors type games, such as Dynasty Warriors 8, Warriors Orochi 3, and eventually Hyrule Warriors. The flow is very nice, the game feels very nice to play and control, all the characters feel very different from each other for the most part. In Pirate Warriors 1 and 2, like, there were some differences, but a lot of the characters felt just extremely similar and just kind of played the same almost. And I think that Pirate Warriors 3 is when they really changed it up and decided to make all the characters feel very different from each other. They really decided to expand on that combat, and it's not as basic as it looks. Sure, you could get away with button mashing the whole time, but the game does have a bit more depth when it comes to its combos and just general gameplay. There are even other types of gameplay here, and the game does try to have a little bit of variety with different mission types, and I think that it does a decent enough job. Sure, some missions are better than others, absolutely, but I think there is a little bit of variety here that the other Pirate Warriors games didn't really have too much of. Now, other than the usual Warriors series complaints that plague all 4 of these games, I actually have to say that the PC version of One Piece Pirate Warriors 3 is arguably the worst PC port I've ever seen of any video game. I'm not even exaggerating, it is absolute dog shit. Like literal dog shit. Like it's worthless. This PC port is awful. This gives Saints Row 2 a run for its money. This is fucking terrible. Do not play this game on computer if you're going to play the game. Like, I'm sure most people who've already played this game are fans of One Piece and have already played it, but if for whatever reason you haven't played it, do not play this game on PC. Absolutely horrible. Horrible. In addition, something that wasn't really a problem in Pirate Warriors 1 and 2 is that the camera sucks ass in this game. Like, the lock-on is just garbage. Like, even compared to other Warriors games, I don't really know what happened here. It just has trouble staying locked on, and then if you move the right analog stick at all, it just loses the lock-on. I'll also say that the game does have online co-op, which probably works decent enough as long as you're not playing on PC, which is what I played on, unfortunately. And usually Warriors games are pretty janky in co-op, but I'm sure this game works fine enough. If the two of you don't really like One Piece, you're probably not going to like this game very much, but hey, it was still an alright time. I had an alright time with Pirate Warriors 3. I'd say if you have any mild interest in One Piece, you'll probably like this game, but if you are just straight a Dynasty Warriors fan, you're probably not going to get too much from this game. Alright, so it's pretty obvious now, but I think the best of the Pirate Warriors games is actually One Piece Pirate Warriors 4, the latest in the Pirate Warriors series. I didn't realize the list would be so sequential, but yeah, each Pirate Warriors has really built on the last one and gotten better and better, and I think that Pirate Warriors 4 is actually the best one and a pretty good Dynasty Warriors game. Even if you don't really care for One Piece and somehow made it to this part of the video, I still think you'd actually enjoy Pirate Warriors 4 if you're even a slight fan of the Dynasty Warriors games, as it is an enjoyable time. The game reuses cutscenes from Pirate Warriors 1 and 3, however, it just completely basically skips over the first, I don't know, like half of One Piece. It just totally jumps like over all of it. It is not at all even close to a good explanation of what happens in One Piece, and I really would say like you need to at least have some basic understanding of One Piece to try to understand what's happening in the story. In addition to this, the game actually goes all the way up to current One Piece, where it's at now, and actually ends the arc with its own original story, which is not complete yet. Like, it's still not complete to this day, and the game just has its own original story and makes up its own thing. The gameplay is easily the most refined of all these Pirate Warriors games. It actually is pretty good hack and slash beat 'em up gameplay, and it's really an enjoyable time. You go around just killing thousands of enemies every single map, and you just mow everything down. The game is able to recreate some of the cooler fights from the series, and I think that these are decently well done. The base game has 43 characters in it, and these 43 characters feel very different from each other. Like, even different versions of Luffy feel completely different from how the previous characters felt in the old games. Like, every character plays very unique, and that's something that Dynasty Warriors games have gotten a hell of a lot better over the years, is making all the characters feel completely unique with different combos, attributes, etc. And this game absolutely plays that up. Now, obviously, the core gameplay still is very Dynasty Warriors. I mean, that's obviously going to be in its DNA forever. However, I really can appreciate that all these characters play so differently, as it does mix things up and it keeps the variety high, and I never got really sick of this game and never thought it got repetitive. I think the game is actually a very good length as well. I played through the game cooperatively with my buddy, and I'll just be honest, the co-op is extremely janky in this game for a variety of reasons, but I mean, it was a fun enough time. We had a pretty good time just going around destroying everything with our favorite One Piece characters. If you're going to play any of these games, I really think that Pirate Warriors 4 is the best one. If you're playing these games, you're probably a fan of One Piece anyway, so you maybe, hopefully, already know what's going to happen in the story, so the game's poor storytelling isn't going to affect you too much, but it is the best of the games. I mean, it's number one on this list. Of course it's going to be the best. It's the most polished, it's the most refined, it plays really nice, it's not stiff as hell, it's not clunky as shit. It plays really nice, it's a fun little hack and slash with tons of characters in it. Would I say it's one of the best Warriors games? No, I wouldn't say it's one of the best of the Warriors games. It might be in my top 10. I'd say it's in the upper echelon, but one of the very best? No, I don't think so, and I don't think that the appeal is as broad as some of the other ones. I think the appeal is definitely limited thanks to its source material and some of the questionable gameplay choices of the earlier games, but I mean, hey, it's still fun little Dynasty Warriors gameplay. You like any of these other Dynasty Warriors games, you'll have some enjoyment with this one. I had some enjoyment with all of these games, except maybe the first one. And that's it really for this video, and that's going to be it for the month of anime. If you liked the video, you could tell me what your favorite Pirate Warriors game is, or you can tell me I'm just a complete idiot, I don't understand One Piece. To be honest, I really have not seen any of One Piece. I've just taken all my knowledge on the series based off of these games, and yeah, that's probably not a good idea. Anyway, I hope everyone has a great day. Thank you very much for watching. See ya.